Hello everyone, my name is Benedict Yu, 有主业. I'm a visual art practitioner based between Singapore, Taiwan, and Berlin. It is my greatest honor and pleasure to be invited by the Southeast Asian Arts Forum, alongside so many amazing and passionate individuals, to share how art can make a difference in times of turmoil. I created my art between virtual reality spaces, which nowadays is called spatial computing, and automatic drawing in the physical world. It wasn't until last year, during my artist residency at SomoS Berlin in 2023, that I finally merged these two worlds together. I realized this could potentially impact the mental well-being of communities going through difficult times. This ongoing project, titled VR Sanctuary, has returned from Berlin to Singapore. It is a virtual space where personal stories from different backgrounds, perspectives, and values can coexist. This space aims to preserve stories that disappear when physical spaces are displaced, destroyed, or relocated. While audience can access this space, the goal is to provide communal healing to individuals who resonate with the shared stories. The inspiration came from the lack of access to physical gathering spaces during the pandemic, whether community centers, homes, religious sites, or clubs. This was when Zoom and other online social platforms became vital for well-being during lockdowns. However, VR technology is fundamentally different from a flat screen. In a VR space, you can perceive the close proximity of another avatar's presence right beside you, almost as if you could touch, embrace, and feel the warmth of another soul. In my research, I found that the human body reacts to a virtual hug as if it is a real physical hug. After the lockdown was lifted, I chose to have my first overseas artist residency in Berlin because of its complex history, which has haunted different communities over many years. The rich tapestry of people from diverse backgrounds, the massive number of daily events, and the carefree expression of individuality made me curious why they ended up in this city. I posted about my artist profile and projects on a social dating app, and realized many people were curious about my art. I decided to offer to teach anyone who wanted to learn VR in exchange for their personal stories, which grew into refined interviews that opened up vulnerable journeys between the participants and me. I interviewed 27 participants from the social dating app, aged between 22 and 54. Surprisingly, only 7 of them, which is 26%, were from Germany. The rest were from all over the world. I felt more like a mentor or psychologist than an artist talking to each of them one-on-one. The interview framework was based on the Spiritual Well-Being Questionnaire, in short SWBQ, created by John W. Fisher in 1998, and the Depression, Anxiety, and Stress Scale 21, in short DAS-21, created by S.H. Lovibon and P.F. Lovibon in 1995. This framework explored each participant's current state of well-being and their future direction. Out of the 27 participants, 10 came from countries experiencing war at that moment. They shared how they ended up in Berlin, including how they received temporary EU stay permits with massive amounts of paperwork or escaped military regimes under dictatorships. I was instantly awakened by the need to make a change through art with the stories they shared. With each participant's consent and an NDA agreement, I traced their bodies using my method of automatic drawing, recorded their audio stories, and placed the audio back into their 3D virtual bodies. I called them VR spiritual bodies because their audio stories served as guidance that could potentially change a visitor's life forever. The tracing of their bodies depended on the stories they shared and their responses to my questions. All 27 participants were fascinated, and more than half felt emotional seeing the tracing because they had never seen their bodies from this perspective before. They felt that after sharing their struggles with me, My VR space had lifted their burdens and transformed them into beautiful pieces of art they could embrace and coexist with. As an artist, my role is to activate, facilitate, interpret, and express the shared communal healing process in visual form. As audience come to listen to these 27 VR stories, they do not know who the participants are, but they know the stories are real and they want to be heard. They want you to know they are going through difficult times. My choice of colors and contours aims to erase our perceptions of skin color, gender, size, and biological labels we apply to people different from ourselves. Here are some of the VR spiritual bodies and their stories that I can share with you.
I pray every day, and I feel that when I fall asleep without praying, I think my day is not the same. I feel like I'm missing something.
All these petty fights we as humans have in the world are simply nonsense. It would be, of course, better for everyone to simply look towards the future and create a better world in this dark and, let's be honest, uncaring universe. But at the same time, I have to acknowledge these are both sides of my thought process. It has to be acknowledged that this pettiness, arrogance, and self-absorption that is inherently part of being human, it just can't be just turned off. But I think it has to be slowly learned, and we have to learn from our mistakes as humanity. But I am hopeful and sure that we will eventually. This is just not something that you can just say loud on the streets.
If we still cherish our current lifestyle, I think everyone should take actions to fight against a lot of stuff. I think the actions are not enough to deter the such as ambitions. So if people want to maintain our current lifestyle, we need to take action.
After hearing all 27 participant stories, I organized meals gatherings to bring together people I knew were going through similar situations. This was the second stage of communal healing, both intentionally initiated by me and organically developed by the participants. They cooked their hometown dishes, which they knew they would never return to, and exchanged music created in their hometowns. In September, I presented these 27 stories in an exhibition with VR, prints, and illustrations. Many audience members wanted to contribute their stories as well, marking the third stage of communal healing. To date, I have gathered 58 more stories waiting to be built into my VR sanctuary. However, there is a limitation to how many people have access to VR devices, although they are cheaper than most of our smartphones. This greatly reduces the impact of building an accessible VR sanctuary where audience can visit at any time. This platform, like many major social media platforms, requires time, manpower, and lots of experimentation. I envision a VR space where audience can generate their own stories and resonate with others, almost as if they can literally be in another person's shoes, experiencing their struggles. This communal healing process aims to generate more empathy, understanding, and space for discussion in both the virtual and physical worlds. As VR technology develops at an even more rapid pace, I believe this new immersive space will quickly merge with our physical world, surpassing our current flat screens and the ever-changing physical spaces. One day, a building filled with memories can stand firm, but the next day it can be completely wiped out. What I have observed is this unseen transition of attachment from physical objects, time, and space into virtual realms, becoming more frequent, especially among younger generations. So how do we, as a community, continue to foster this communal healing both virtually and physically and bring about change in turbulent times? Thank you.